Can I demolish the pre-1947 house if I promise to build it back exactly as it was before? Now, this is a question that was posed to me on site yesterday by a client. And in short, the answer is no. Council will not let you demolish that house on the promise or the condition that you will build it back exactly as it was. So I thought, hey, in this week's video, why don't I share the 3 reasons as to why I say the answer is no. Now, before I launch into those 3 reasons, I did want to kind of preface what I'm about to say. I just wanted to say I'm not team council here. As I said to the client on site yesterday, I'm in this kind of unique, weird and wonderful piggy in the middle type situation. On one hand, I totally understand the intent or the drivers behind council's decision. I can see what they're trying to achieve here and what they're striving to achieve. I also, having worked in council, innately understand or strongly understand the pressures they are under and the consequences or unintended consequences that can come about through certain decisions. So I understand the council side of things. Also, on the other side, I understand the builder or homeowner side of things. So I understand the practical realities and complexities of working around these old houses and the additional cost burden that is there as a result of trying to work with the existing structures. So I get it. Like I said, I'm the picky in the middle. I understand both sides. So before people come at me and just go, town planners are ruining the world, do not shoot the messenger, guys. I'm just trying to spread a little bit of awareness and understanding of the other side of the fence, because I find all the time, if you understand why certain decisions are being made, it takes a little bit of heat out of the conversation and it helps people to progress forward in a more harmonious kind of way. So yeah, the aim of today's video is just to give people some understanding as to why the answer is no, so that they're not so frustrated. Because I can see, yeah, yesterday on site with these clients, they're just like, WTF, this is ridiculous. What do you mean I have to keep this house? So yeah, let's see how I go. So first things first, you need to understand that when it comes to the value of these houses, the value does not just lie in the appearance to the street from a cursory glance. Like, don't get me wrong, there is a lot of value that comes with the vibes to the street, the appearance to the street, the community feel, our ties to that, what that feel means in terms of our ties to our history, all of that sort of stuff. That is a massive component of the value of pre-1947 houses. However, there is also a bucket load of value that goes into the story behind how the house came to be, like how it got there on the property, who was it built for, when was it built, the materials that were used, from like the timber down to the nails, the construction methodology. Like back in the day, they used to notch things. They'd cut a hole out and slip the timber in, as opposed to slapping it on top and putting a nail through. So there is so much more to the value of these houses and the story they tell us about our history and who we used to be as people and all of that sort of stuff. One day I'm going to sit down and actually record a video that helps to give people insight into why heritage protection and traditional building character overlay actually is important to us as a community and society and all of that sort of stuff. That's a big topic. I'll save that for another day. But yeah, the main point I'm trying to get across here is you need to understand it's not just that cursory, quick look to the street. There is so much more behind these houses that we need to value and appreciate. Now, I'd love to insert a little analogy here. So think of it like a designer handbag. And I'm not a designer handbag girly. Like, if you ever see me at a meeting or something like that, I've got my phone, I've got my keys, and that is literally it. I do not carry anything with me. But I do know enough about bags to know that when it comes to designer handbags, they are handcrafted. They are made with top-notch materials, maybe the finest leather, or maybe there's some diamonds on there, or there's gold leaf plating, I don't know, whatever the most expensive bags out there have. So they've basically got the higher level of craftsmanship, the higher level of materials, all of that sort of stuff. Whereas you go the cheap Chinese kind of knockoff, it's plastic, it's cheap, it's mass manufactured. Same sort of thing when it comes to these houses. At a cursory glance, you could probably put 2 bags side by side. Let's say it's your bag or a Louis Vuitton bag or any of those sort of things. You put them side by side, quick glance, yeah, it's an expensive bag, looks nice, move on type thing. However, when you touch that bag, the weight of it, the texture of it, the quality, the logo paint design, like every little fine detail, you can tell that there is a difference. So yeah, the same thing with Queenslander houses and pre-47 houses just generally. If you go and build them back, it's always going to be that cheap Chinese knockoff in comparison to the original high quality type 1. And you'll just know, you'll just feel it, there's a difference there. So that's point number 1. Second reason why council says no is you can never build it back exactly as it was. Like, the materials just don't exist today, or they are 5 times the price, or the construction rules and techniques and way we build houses have evolved since then. Like, we don't sit there with hand saws anymore. No, you get the chainsaw out and stick it through. Well, not chainsaw, what do you call it? Oh, I'm such a blonde chick right now. But you know what I'm trying to say. Basically, you put the machine saw through. Is that what it's called? Anyway, fill in the blank here. You know what I'm trying to say. Basically, put the machine saw through. You're not going to sit there and hand saw back and forth for every bit of timber. So yeah, we've changed the way we build these houses. So you're not going to get those hand saw cut marks. You're going to get the machine saw cut marks. Certification rules have changed. Like, back in the day, you could do a low profile balustrade. You could even do the cross bracing balustrading that kids could climb up and fall over. These days, you can't have climbable balustrading. It's got to be a certain height, all of that sort of stuff. So despite the best intentions, it is not physically possible for you to build a house back the exact way it was previously. It just cannot be done. And it would cost an absolute fortune if it could be done. And let's be real, there is a reason you want to bulldoze this house and start again. It's because something's not right. It's not to the energy efficiency standards, or it's got lead paint. Like, there's so many different reasons I hear all the time. But for whatever reason, you want to rebuild it, which means you don't want to build it back the way it exactly was before. Now, reason number 3 is that council can't control the outcome. They can't force you to stick to your promises. Now, there's a whole heap of issues from a legal legislation perspective as to why they can't do that. I'm not going to go into that for the moment, but I just want you to imagine a scenario. Let's say you get the approval. They go, sure, you promise me you're going to build this back exactly as it was, magically with some materials that don't exist anymore, but you're going to do it. Let's just trust you on that one. And your financial situation changes. And this is not just some theoretical pie in the sky type fear that council has. They've genuinely been burnt by this stuff in the past. So, just watch my language, I was about to swear there. They've been burnt by this stuff in the past. So, as a result of being burnt by it, they've had to adapt their processes and learn. Because if they kept doing what they did in the past and kept ending up with these results, they'd end up on a current affair. They'd be accused of wasting ratepayers' money, all of that sort of stuff. They just can't do it. So, yeah, let's imagine you've said you're going to do it. They get you your approval. Your financial situation changes. Suddenly, you've got to sell the property. The next person comes along and they're like, I'm not rebuilding a house at 5 times the price. I don't like that design type thing. Or you have to move down south for a job. You've got to change your job. Or your family situation changes. Now, I had a great example. You laugh because it's one of those situations where you laugh or you cry type thing. But people share some real personal stuff with me. I had this guy email me yesterday. He's like, you might remember me. You did a house reno for me a few years ago. Yeah, my wife left me for another man. So we're going to look at another house now. I was like, dude, the fact that you can be so brutally open and honest and transparent about it, I hope that means that you're in a good place and you're like, yeah, we can laugh about it now. But yeah, your situation could leave. Your wife or your husband could bugger off on you, and suddenly you don't need that 5-bedroom house. So this, or another example, you could have like the COVID price increases. Like, through that COVID period, our prices literally doubled when it comes to house renovations. Everyone is predicting we're going to have the exact same increase when it comes to the Olympics, or the lead up to the Olympics. So you could have one of those, and all of a sudden you can't afford to do what you want to do. So if councils conditioned you to do it somehow magically through the legislation, which, as I said, can't be done, but let's just imagine it can, then suddenly, okay, will you sell it to the next person? The next person comes along. If they see that that condition is there and that requirement is there, then they're going to turn around and go, I'm not paying market rate for this block of land. Like, get stuffed. I'm going to pay below market rate because I've got to account for the extra cost that's going to go into building this house. Or more realistically, people don't know to check town planning. Like, no one ever checks town planning stuff before they purchase a property. Not literally no one, but so few people do. So the reality is people would buy it without knowing that this condition exists or this requirement exists, and then council would end up being backed into a corner, then end up on a current affair. Oh, this poor little homeowner, they bought this property and now big main council, they're forcing them to build this replica house. It's stupid in a cost of living crisis. How could they afford to force them to do that? You can see it playing out right here, right now. So yeah, council, at the end of the day, they're sitting there going, why would we put ourselves in that situation? We've been burnt by that in the past. Why go back down that path? It just makes zero sense to us. So hopefully that gives you some insight into 3 different reasons I think council says no to demolishing pre-47 houses on the condition or the proviso that you are going to build it back as it was. Like I said at the beginning, I'm just hoping to spread some awareness or understanding as to council's side of things to just take the heat out of the situation. Okay, I think that covers off everything I want to talk about today. As I always like to say, until next time, thanks for watching.
For all you red tape lovers out there, I have one thing to say. Well, no, actually, I've got three. Number one, the advice provided in these videos is general in nature. It's not site specific. You would be a silly Billy to go and make financial decisions based on this advice without first checking with the town planner. Don't be a silly Billy. Number two, Brisbane town planning is in no way linked to Brisbane City Council. The views expressed in these videos are my own, not council's. So if you don't like them, blame me, not council. Number three, what was my number three? Oh yeah, the views expressed in these videos are accurate at the time of recording. If you're watching this video back 10 years from now, the views may not be so accurate. That's all.